This is Sam. Recently, becoming a tattooer has caught his eye, and like many of us, he jumped online, did some hunting, and managed to zero in on some gear. But I noticed he could use some guidance, so I told him I'd give him a hand. Okay, we're back, and our agenda today is stencils. So I want to run through an overview of the different methods you can use to make them. Let's compare some popular machines available out there, and we'll run through how to use those. We'll touch briefly on the process of applying a stencil as well. However, to kick us off and get us started, let's run through how to make your own stencil solution at home. Okay, so here's where you might be thinking, hey, Sprinks, man, there are already tons of videos out there explaining how to make stencil liquid, and you'd be right. And I'm not trying to take anything away from them. I'm also aware that there are plenty of options when it comes to stencil solutions these days. It's just something that I found really useful. There were plenty of occasions where for whatever reason I'd run out of stencil liquid, and I found it so clutch that I knew how to make my own. Now, this video continues on from our last video, which you can watch here, in which we went out and bought a bunch of things from the supermarket, and we're going to do that again today because we need to get a few more things. So heading out, first item in our sights is some razors. Then we're going to cruise over and pick ourselves up 3 sticks of gel deodorant, some hand sanitizer, and then we'll rustle up some aloe vera gel. Now, compared to Oz, this is pretty spicy on the pocket here, so jump online and hunt down a more cost-friendly alternative. We're also going to need to find a microwave-safe, pour-friendly container, and then a vessel we can use to store our stencil liquid in once we've got it made. Yo. Yo. What's up, bro? I was just wondering if you needed me today. Oh, nah, you're good. Yeah, all good. Okay. Let's go. Break these speed sticks off into the container. We're going to put the container into the microwave and melt them down. Pour the melted speed sticks out of the container into our vessel. We're going to add aloe vera gel and some hand sanitizer. Not too much though. Give that a shake and mix it all up. If it's still too thick, then add some more sanitizer, but don't make it too runny. Once cooled, we're looking for a medium thick viscosity. We want a smooth application that will eventually dry. Yo, that was kind of fast, I know, but don't worry, I'll put all the details in the description below so you won't miss out on anything. Also, if you want to know a little bit more about how I painted this mural behind me, I have a video coming out soon, so make sure you click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of that good stuff. With that all aside, let's jump into the next section. To start, we're going to need some stencil paper, and it's not too hard to find. You should be able to source some on either Amazon or eBay. Next up, I'm using the S8 and Brother collaboration thermal printer. Here I have the AirPrint version for iOS, and that's because when it comes to drawing, I like to use a tablet, and my preference is an iPad Pro using the program Procreate. You'll also need to download an app from the App Store called Brother iPrint and Scan. Okay, take your stencil paper and remove the protective sheet and save that for later. We're then going to turn it over and rip off the yellow backing paper from the back. Grabbing our printer now, we're going to insert the stencil paper until the printer bites. And then with a single press each time, continue to feed the stencil paper through the printer until we've got it poking out the other side. Once it's through, open up the printer. We're going to adjust the paper to make sure it's evenly aligned. Moving over to our drawing program now. Here, I like to use the curves adjustment to make sure our images are really nice and black. Then horizontally flip your image to make sure that it is the right orientation when it comes through the printer. Export and save that bad boy. And then jump into settings quickly and make sure that you are connected by Wi-Fi directly to the printer. Open the iPrint and Scan app and hit print. Go into photos and find your recent save, load that up and hit print again. I've prepared designs with varying line weights and levels of detail, and as it prints out you can already see there are differences between each of those designs. This seems to be common amongst all the fax machine style thermal printers that I've tried, showing that they are useful for certain applications but not necessarily the best option for others. Once that's printed, peel back the top sheet nice and slow, and you can check the bottom piece to make sure that your design has completely transferred well. Okay, so now we can clearly see the differences between each design, and this showcases how important it is to have this in mind when you're preparing to use one of these printers. Still with me? Nice. There's a couple more to go yet. This is the Epson ET2760, an eco-tank printer, which means when empty you can refill the tanks. It comes with a full set of Epson printer ink, which is important to note because we'll need to use one of these bottles to fill the printer. So choose your least favorite color because we're going to empty it out. Now, instead of dumping it down the sink, let's use this. It's solidifying powder, and this is amazing for safely disposing of liquid waste like tattoo rinse cup, or in this case, printer ink. There are plenty of generic brands easy to find online at great costs. Once it's solid, you can simply put it in the wastebasket. Easy as. So now it's clean, we're going to fill our bottle with stencil ink, and we chose one called Eco Stencils. I recommend gloves for this and filling over a sink because this is a semi-permanent dye. The cap comes off without too much effort, so screw it back on nice and firm before heading back to the printer. Our inkwells are on the right here underneath these little latchy guys. Now here's where you'll run into a little roadblock. The top of each bottle is shaped like a key. Each well only fits the bottle of its corresponding color. Each well needs to be filled to at least its minimum in order to prime the print head, which means you'll have to dump out every bottle, which is a huge waste. Don't worry though, after about 4 very careful minutes with a craft knife, we were able to cut this section away and use the same bottle to fill every well, leaving the rest of our stock ink intact and able to be sold. You can run through printer setup now, and while it's priming, I'm going to get the Jet Stencils paper loaded and ready. This guy handles regular stencils with ease, but the crazy thing is, you can print a photo and use that as a stencil, and fast, which is wild. Granted, this is most suited to if you practice realism or you're a bit further along in your career and feel comfy working with that much information. It might be a bit much if you're just starting out.
Good job, guys. We're doing great. Now let's giddy on up to the next one. Yeah!
So if you've hand-drawn your design, you can skip forward to the tracing part. However, as mentioned before, I like to use Procreate, and once my design's ready, I'm going to shoot that to the printer and get that printed off. When our printout is complete, using the protective sheet that we saved earlier, placing it shiny side down, we're going to trace our printout. This is great to use as it's extremely transparent and somewhat resilient in terms of being able to stand up to most pencils and pens we're going to use for tracing. Once our tracing is complete, on a smooth, firm surface, again with the shiny side down, we're going to place it on top of the transfer paper. And from here, we're going to retrack over our design once more, pressing quite firmly but in a way that avoids tearing the paper while we work. Now you don't need to be too stressed at this part of the process, and if at any time you need to check on your progress, simply peel back the top sheet, view the transfer beneath, and you can easily see where you're at. Something to also be aware of is just your hand placement while you're working. If you do happen to place the palm of your hand on the transfer paper, it can sometimes pick up that transfer ink and you'll get it all over your hands. Once the second tracing is complete, go ahead and peel it away, and you can see here our stencil is done and ready to go. So let's test it out. Rubbing the area with soap, we're going to shave it down. Then wipe it down with alcohol to clear away any of the natural oils and create a good base for our stencil solution. Placing the stencil, I like to slightly curve the paper so that the middle touches down first. And then once that's grabbed, I'll work my way slowly to the edges to make sure we get a nice, smooth, even adherence. Once that's completely taken, I like to give it a good press just to give it a bit of a boost and make sure we've got the best chance of a good transfer. Go ahead and peel the stencil away, and then you want to give it a good 20 minutes dry time. Now, I know you might be excited to get stuck in, but trust me, it can make all the difference when it comes to ensuring that your stencil will hold while you're working, and it makes your life so much easier. Now, this is a good time to point out that you want to ensure you've done your due diligence with your customer and really communicated with them well in regards to what size they want their piece specifically. If you need to change size, it's going to send you back to the drawing board. You're going to need to resize your design, reprint it, retrace the transfer, and then potentially run that whole process over and over again if your client is constantly changing their mind. This can easily lead to situations of frustration and really change the whole dynamic of the experience. So it's definitely worth putting in the extra effort at the beginning to avoid any of this happening. Now, I thought it might be good here to demonstrate just how many times you can apply the same stencil. And typically I find that most stencils will have a use life of about 3. However, in this instance, we decided to push the envelope a little bit further and see how far we could go using both our homemade stencil solution as well as a pre-made stencil solution, and we ended up pushing all the way to 5. And I have to say, even when we reached 5, there was very little degradation showing in the stencil itself as well as the transfer, and it seemed as though we would easily get another 2 applications, all from the same stencil. Now, there are some variations of this method. I chose to cover the most simple and effective way to get you going. Now hold on tight, because for this next section, we're going to go see some friends. I paid a visit to the team at Outsider Collective Tattoo here in Vancouver. They were kind enough to let me showcase their thermal copier, the Eclipse V3. It utilizes a carrier sleeve and is speed adjustable. The lower the speed, the darker the stencil, and vice versa. Simply print your design and place it in the stencil paper, then use the carrier sleeve to give them both a little hug. Send that through the machine and you're good to go, just like that. Because they are adjustable, if you find your stencil a bit light or missing detail, as long as your printouts haven't moved, you can run it through again at a higher speed to darken it up. These are high output machines perfect for use in active studios. They produce high quality results across the entire spectrum of tattoo designs. They are, however, the most expensive option, coming in at around $1,100 plus, depending on brand and model. Whew, that was a lot to take in. Let's do a quick summary of the pros and cons. Hey Sam, what do you think of the hand-drawn method?
Well, it's straightforward with great results. But if you need to make adjustments, whew, it's gonna set you back. What do you think about the adjustable thermal copier?
Yo, this machine is crazy efficient. I mean, did you see how fast, easy and effective it is? Spicy on the pocket though, and you need a printer. Probably hard to travel with too. What do you think of the inkjet?
The quality and detail is insane. It's fast, and you only need one machine. Setup's a bit slow, and you gotta use it often so it doesn't clog. Be a tough one to travel with as well. What do you think of the pocket printer?
Small, fast, and once you learn how, super easy to use. You do need a compatible device though, and it's not that great for detailed stencils, but man, you can take this thing anywhere. Am I right?
Man, shout out to Chris from Outsider Tattoo and to my wonderful family for their love and support. I hope you find this info helpful. There are more videos on the way and your feedback is always welcome. Until then, take care, tat safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.